Good evening or good morning for those of you in Europe. Now, a couple of extra things today. I'm going live on Facebook. Now, normally this is just for subscribers, but of course, occasionally I want to go public just to share the experience and let people know about the course. So tonight is one of those nights. It's a big day today. It's a big night tonight, and I will be explaining that as we go along. Got it? Now, admit, chat. I'm slowly getting better at all of this. Now, for those joining in, admit all. Here we go. Welcome, everybody. Now, you may have seen that we are live streaming tonight. Big day. I say tonight. I know it's in the morning for you guys. Pia, great to see you. Lots of things happening. And what I neglected to do, but shall do shortly, is open up the, where are we? Trying to do there we go. So many things at once today. Great to see you. It's been a week or so. I'm really hoping Greg Smith turns up because he normally has his glass of wine, and I reached out to him on something on the support group. So today, my friends, is the launch of the WindWorks Trumpet Academy. It's just a different name, but I'm aiming ultimately for it to be an annual event, an annual course. For years and years, I've been doing this, and I know the psychology of people wanting to buy a book, get a lesson, and make changes. And that can happen. And I know, my books have been popular with a lot of people, which is great and helped people. But I want to go to the next level. And that's why we're here. We're talking, we're sharing mastery of learning, the sharing. I want to take people on a journey. I want to help them through the tough times. I want to celebrate the wins. So, g'day, Paul. Phil, great to see you guys. I'm starting a new initiative. Feel free to get involved, or you don't have to. I'm going to show some from the support group anyway. It's going to be a weekly thing, and I'm going to either just tell a story, or if you'd like to do a video and share with people, that would be awesome. Called Wind Wins. Wind Wins. Did we have a win? Share your win. What did you learn? What can other people get from it? How do we share? I've had huge wins in my career and massive failures. And this is what it's all about, is sharing the experiences. People think failures are bad. No, failures are the stepping stone to success. We have to have failures. We have to make errors. That's how we learn. So if we're having a downtime, it just so happens that when you're having a downtime, somebody else around here might be having an uptime. They've come through their downtime and they've had an experience, they've got through it, and they're going, oh, I've been there, right? I've been there. I struggled through this. I did it over and over. I went backwards. Then all of a sudden, something happened. Things went upwards. And then someone having the bad day, yeah, I can relate to that. Hang in there. And that's why I also want it to be an annual experience. It's just, there's too much to learn. And as you guys know, you don't learn trumpet in 12 months or 2 years when you're beginning. It takes ages. So my dream is to have you guys developing. I want to share that. I'm seeing guys that I teach as a group of 3 that I teach privately every Thursday morning, my time, from California. And they're all in their 60s, and just seeing the development, small wins, big wins. We've got some physical things that we've fixed over, 12-month, 18-month period. Some shakes, some technical things, a beginner, an experienced comeback player, and an intermediate player who plays in bands. So it's a real nice mix, right? And just to see their development, you guys are already starting to feel what it's like to see somebody else's journey. And some of the things that I want to have a look at on the support group forum is that they're really telling. So it's only early days with all that support stuff, and I apologize for not being on there much this week. A couple of you who know me personally know that there's some quite important things going on in the background, and they all come to a head this week, which is terrific. And life will be very interesting after that. So I won't go into any more details other than finally some things are coming to resolution, and we like resolutions on things. Very important personal stuff with some people very close to me. So it's great to see them coming through a really hard time, and so my RAM, we've all got limited RAM. I want to do a little triathlon, believe it or not. I'm going to start off doing a small one, literally 200 or I think it's 300 meter swim, 2K ride, and 5K ride, 2K run. Cool. Do I like the idea of doing that? No. Can I do it? I'm not particularly fit, but I'm going to. Why not? And that takes RAM for me to do something that doesn't come naturally. What's the point? A lot of you know about the left-handed golf thing. What's the point? Strangeness, doing something that doesn't feel natural, doesn't feel right, takes RAM, takes energy, takes conscious thought. So the changes that we're making to our playing might take conscious thought. And in that process, you have failures and you have wins. Now, just as people are joining, I'm going to say again that this is streaming live to my private Facebook page, just so you know. And I'll watch this. Where is he? Where is he? Hello, Greg. I'm prepared this week. No video yet, but he'll be there. How unprofessional, Greg Spence, having a glass of wine while you're teaching people all over the world. It's Sunday night. I've been out, I've been busy, and one of our dear subscribers always turns up with a glass of wine, so I thought I would match him tonight. I'm not going to sit here and drink. I just thought I'd be prepared. That's a nice place to start. Greg brought up, I think it was the improvisation thing. So I'm going to share screen tonight, unless anyone's got anything particularly pressing that they need and want to share, talk about. I'm going to get straight into the support group. Has anyone got anything? Last week was a really amazing Sunday sessions weekend. If you haven't seen my Monday morning, the Sunday afternoon one with Mike, French horn player, please watch it. Please, I've put it through the notifications. I've put it on the support group forums. You've got to watch it. Anyone who wants to know what my teaching's about, please watch it.
Greg, where do we find them?
So
where do we find those recordings?
Great. When you log in, it should have been on the notifications. If you go to the dashboard on the notifications, you will see it down there. Now, we just changed a button on the dashboard so you can open up all the previous notifications and close them all together. And there's one where I say all subscribers must watch. Rightio. Mike is a professional trombone, French horn player, having some issues with some choking up and some articulation things, but playing professional orchestral stuff. You'll see it. It goes for about an hour and 20 minutes. Please watch it. There is a moment at the end of that video that makes every single second I've put into everything I've ever done in this developing books and courses and support groups and all this sort of stuff worthwhile. It was magic. And I
Morning.
want everyone to see it. So please, please watch it. Hajo, welcome. So here we go. Does anyone have, Paul, did you sort of motioned like you're wanting to say something? No? Okay, cool. So let's get across to the forum here.
Greg?
Hello. Hang on.
I had one remark for me because of this button. It doesn't work for me.
For the notifications?
No, for the to open the menu.
Oh, hang on. I'll share the screen. Let's have a look. Now's as good a time as any to check it out. So, just so we're on the same page. So I go.
I tried it several times, but it did not work.
Try clearing your cache. Sometimes when we make changes, are you using Google Chrome? What?
No, I use Safari.
Using Safari?
iPhone.
Okay, because it is working, but let me check it now just so. Are we loading? We're loading. Trying to stream live and share screen and open the course. It's just taking its little time. That'll be terrific if that happens. Here we go. Access the course. It's thinking. Rightio. Let's go to my support group. We'll come back to that. I think maybe oh crikey. I think maybe I've just cooked my computer because I'm trying to do too many things at once. Let's try again. Oh, I see what he's done. We've got a new little label up there. Here we go. There's a little blue button that Matt's made. Oh, sorry, people. I had the page set up ready to go, but it's obviously... Oh, here we go. Great. Oh, show past notifications. That's new. Okay, so this button here is what you're talking about, Hajo?
Yeah. No, no. The button when you... it's over there. Okay. I thought it's when you switch to the course. One side before. Go one side back, please.
To the dashboard?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So now you can access the WindWorks course.
Yep.
On left side.
Yep.
Yeah. Access it.
Yep.
Okay, and then yes, and the button on the right corner. Yeah.
So
Didn't
that's
work
just
for me.
okay.
Work.
It's working. So when we make changes, sometimes the programming, if you don't clear your cache, takes a while to feed through. It will happen, but if you go to your history and go clear cache, it should work. We've tested.
Okay, I will try it.
On Firefox, on Safari, on Microsoft Edge, we do the tests and it should work.
Okay.
But please let me know if it's not, because I'll get Matt straight onto it.
Yeah.
So
I will.
I found some interesting things. So here's Greg's. For all my playing life, I've suffered with range and note speaking in the morning. Flexibility is awful. I have an early gig. My only strategy is to have a very early warm-up, and even then it's still a struggle. Come the PM, the problem goes away, but still later in the afternoon is better. I've always put this down to facial muscles needing to wake up, but would be interested in others' experiences and strategies. I'm pretty sure that this is an actual phenomena, as over the years I have heard some pretty decent players crash and burn at dawn services. Others sail through. Well, the dawn service over here in Australia, obviously, is the last post Anzac Day, the same as taps in America. People fail on that because it's terrifying, besides the playing thing. A friend of mine played at in Turkey, at Gallipoli, did the main service. He made the newspaper. How is he preparing for it? He's in the Air Force band. He was practicing out at the airport, the Air Force base, at 5 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning, in Melbourne, freezing cold. If you're going to have to do a gig in the cold, practice in the cold, right? And another thing that he did was going to a commercial refrigerator and had someone at the door to make sure the door didn't lock. But he practiced inside the refrigerator to start and condition to the extreme temperature. Now, some of you will have played in extreme heat. I find the density of the air when playing in heat and humidity more difficult than the cold. And I had one of our subscribers who, she may share it on the support group, but I only just read this message from her before I came on. She's suffering with dystonia, but has been trying to force the way through playing, which I could talk a lot about. I won't now. But one of the elements that she spoke about was the heat. It was 95 degrees, like 30, no, she said 90 degrees, about 32 Celsius, 90 Fahrenheit. There was a culmination of things that basically led to a bit of a disastrous gig. Bad day. Although she got through the main part of the gig through sheer hang on, let go of the dystonia if possible, and just fight to get the job done. This is obviously not an ideal way to play. The heat plays a role in making things more difficult, in my experience, personally, because I was living in Melbourne, not a humid environment. So, of course, that's going to, if we're playing in an environment that we're not used to, we're going to struggle a little bit. So there's a degree of preparation. As far as playing in the morning, I believe that muscles are muscles are muscles, right? If you are waking up and it takes you longer, if during the day, if your things loosen up and you're more used to playing in the afternoon, and so you play in the afternoon when it's comfortable, and this is answering Greg's question, you just have to practice more in the morning and getting up and going, right, what are we working on? Now, this ties into a few things on the support group that I want to look at tonight. It's familiarity. It's wiring. We're wired to do things in a particular way. Now, muscles are muscles. If they need to prepare in a different way, we recognize if every single day it's cold and the muscles lose flexibility, well, we need to practice more in the morning. We need to become more accustomed to it. The flexibility goes away. I'd be interested in others. I'm pretty sure that as over the years, I've had some pretty decent playing crash and burn at dawn service, yet others just sail through. See, the dawn service is no gig to compare techniques on, in my opinion, because there can be anxiety involved. The last post is the most exposed trumpet thing you're ever going to have to play. And you're playing it in front of a lot of people that know every note, right? So I felt sick for 2 weeks after playing it at a funeral. Long story short, the widow started screaming after the first two notes and almost fell over, and the whole crowd was howling, crying, and I'm just trying to hang on, play. You're doing them a service. And I felt sick for 2 weeks. But when I was in high school, I used to panic, and my left leg would start to shake. I was one of about 4 musicians in my high school. And so I'd have to put all my weight on my left leg, and then my right leg would start shaking. So I'd stand on my right leg and the left leg would start shaking. So I'm standing there trying to play the last post, panicking. There are a lot of issues involved. I've surprised myself at gigs sometimes getting up really early in the morning and having to play and feeling quite fresh in the morning. The only problem is because it's early, if you haven't done the warm-up, your endurance goes. You haven't prepared the muscles enough for that event. So I can still play. Like now I could sit here and play the first set of a big band gig with doing no practice. But I'm not going to get through a whole gig because I'm not in condition, but I can still play the range and still play the notes. Flexibility does go if you're not prepared. But everyone's individual on these. Has anyone got any thoughts on temperature affecting their playing experiences? Anything you'd like to share, or do we move on?
Yes, I would like to share, Greg.
Yeah, I heard.
We play in a church every year that's stone cold. So what I do, I put my trumpet in my fleece vest and keep my mouthpiece in my hand. So it stays as warm as possible. And then play, and then it's kind of okay.
Yeah, if you can, like the last post, having your mouthpiece in your hand, if you can, when you're standing there waiting and all the whole ceremony's going on, it's freezing cold, if you can do something like that. Now, generally in the dawn services I've done, you can't hide the horn, but definitely flapping. No one's going to hear it. No one's going to see it.
Yeah, just keep the muscles flowing. Yeah, keep the blood in the lips. And
this is where the 1+1. Now, I actually don't have 1+1 on the course. That's interesting. Have I got a pen here? I need to write that down. 1+1 is along the lines of what can I do? What can I sometimes do? What can't I do? Now, the last post is open harmonics, low C, G, C, E, G. If you know them 100%, 1+1, don't have to think about it. You know the shape. It's so embedded in your psyche, then it's just creating shape. Now, sometimes you'll feel, yes, the flexibility, it's not quite there yet. Well, okay, it's not quite there yet. We can still make it work. Do you know the shape? If everything goes out the window and there's a complete collapse, that shows that we're relying, as they say in Zen in the Art of Archery, relying on favorable conditions. We do not want to be relying on favorable conditions. We don't want to be turned, and trust me, I've gone into gigs and I can picture my psychology before real heavy gigs going, I hope I play good today, because my baseline good was acceptable, but bad days were bad, not up to standard. I'd have to play it sort of my best to be acceptable. And if you're relying on your best every single gig, you're in strife. You want to be relying your baseline, your bad day out is still very, very, very acceptable, because bad is quite a subjective thing. I'm sure we've all experienced I feel like I had a terrible gig today. And that's when people come up and go, gee, man, you sounded great. And when you have a gig where you go, I felt terrific, no one says anything. And it's like, not that we don't do it for people to say stuff, but it's just interesting when we have those experiences. So it comes down to familiarity, a degree of preparation, and again, going to the extreme, practicing on the runway of an airport in the middle of Melbourne in the middle of winter, that's preparing. So I think it just comes down to our awareness of what we're able to do. What can we do? What can we sometimes do? What can't we do? My brain's exploding because there's so much going on. Everything that I'm saying is relating to other things that I want to talk about. So I'm going to end up missing lots of them. Anyway, I'll stick to the support group. Where are we? Here we go. So let's go back. So I hope, Greg, that makes some sense. Morning blues, mouthpiece sizes, I'll touch on very quickly. Bobby Shoe quote, not everyone wears the same size pair of shoes. Now, the person who's asking this question, Al, is a beginner. And so my advice for beginners is play something, find something that's comfortable and you can make the sound that you want. Nothing too shallow, nothing too deep. So I think the 11B4 or a C3 is C3C is ideal for beginners. There's a video there I haven't watched, but Al liked it, so you might be interested in having a look at that. I would like to get more posts going on here, by the way. I feel like I'm the one that's having to really inspire the conversation, which is fine, but it's not about me. It's about you guys. And not everyone. There are some people here that have be sitting there going, what are you talking about, Greg? I'm always posting. Thank you for those that are. I love it. Now, milk spout. Michael, who's the French horn player, you guys have to watch that video from last week. I've noticed that the more I emphasize the milk spout as I go higher, the more my corners come in, seemingly without effort. Is this what we are going for? Has anyone else noticed this? Thank you for your support. To which I wrote, bingo. Now, I've had a really interesting couple of weeks with a couple of students, one who's got vocal dystonia, and he doesn't mind me saying it. He's new to the course. Lovely bloke. Won't mind me saying he's in his 70s. Won't mind me saying that he used to learn off Claude Gordon for many years. And the other student also learned off Claude Gordon. They've sent me their assignments from when they worked with him. I'm talking hundreds of pages of seeing what they did, how they did it. Now, the whole Claude Gordon thing and the milk spout is something that I'm going to be talking about more and more and more. It's easy for it to be misconstrued. Everything is. To get the ideal, we're all different. We've all got different anatomies. We've got different shapes. Someone please remind me of the word embouchure by the time I finish this. Just someone please, because I will get sidetracked and forget embouchure. Please remind me. So I'm talking to this particular student and the older gentleman who is suffering from dystonia. Using the approach that I use it is so far removed from the way that he's been taught to play for so many years, it's not even triggering any dystonic reactions. But as soon as he thinks about playing, it starts to tremor dramatically. When he thinks about trumpet, he starts to cry. We're dealing with some heavy emotional issues here. He learnt off Claude Gordon, and I was on the brink of giving up playing. And you guys know this, you've heard the story, but I can't give up without reading a book called Brass Playing's No Harder Than Deep Breathing. I'd seen the name of it written around for years and I'd never looked at it. And I'm so confused with playing, being taught so many things that are not working for me. I remember having the day, I'm done. I'm so cooked. I cannot keep doing this. I'm going to do something else. But before I do, I better read that book, Brass Playing's No Harder Than Deep Breathing. In that book, I learned about K-modified tonguing. One of my issues was articulating. Everyone was trying to get me to use the tip of the tongue behind the top teeth. I couldn't do it. I could never do it. I always tongued with the middle of my tongue, tip of the tongue behind my lower teeth. How empowering to find out that Claude Gordon, Herbert L. Clarke, Alessandro Liberati, all these Arbin, all tongued K-modified. KMT, I'd never heard of. Anchor tonguing, I'd never heard of. It mustn't have made it over the waters to Australia, right? Didn't make it here. And it saved my life. So all of a sudden, as you guys that have got the original first book, for a while there was, you arch the tongue, the air goes faster, you play higher, right? That is the psychology. That's not right. That's against the physics. It's not the way it works. And I won't go into that now. But I've said numerous times that I think when I'm talking about and stuff the mouth. I've had Claude Gordon certified teachers say, do not speak to Greg Spence, do not talk to him. This is appalling teaching. I've researched, I understand what I'm talking about. And it's because I mentioned the mouth, I mentioned the lips. And I've said over numerous years that I cannot for a second think that Claude Gordon wouldn't have been aware of what was going on with the face. And I reckon maybe he's either been misunderstood or something's not right. It's just never, ever made sense to me that he would just completely focus on the tongue with complete disregard to the mouth. Straight from the student's horse's mouth. It's funny the way things turn out, people. This guy's got focal dystonia. We cannot use the same wiring. We cannot use the same process. We need new understanding, new sensations. We need to find trigger points of what's triggering the reactions. It's emotional, it's physical. So we go through the humming. Well, we go through the cycle of T's. What's the first element in the cycle of T's? Stillness. Someone with dystonia is not still in the mind. So that takes a lot of work, but we're doing it. It's great. Second one, energize the lungs. In through the nose, drop, then hum. Terrific. At this moment, there is no sense of reaction because it's so unrelated to playing. There's no neural sort of reminders that time to panic, fight and flight system. And I think I mentioned last week, we have 2 amygdalas. Did I say that last week? I didn't know that. I just found out. I've done ITG presentations talking about the amygdala, the part of the brain that stores trauma. And that's where the fight and flight response is all derived from. We have 2. When I heard it, I'm like, no way. Then, way. Incredible stuff. We never stop learning, right? So there is no fear in this gentleman's stillness. Energize the lungs, drop, hum, lower the jaw. That can trigger for people with dystonia massive reactions because there's a mouth movement. Breathing generally locks up with dystonia, but when we do it really, really slowly through the nose, it's a different sensation. So it's prone to not trigger fear. Then, slowly lower the jaw. No dramas, no fear. Then I said, okay, full well knowing what the reaction was going to be. So the next movement is, and we're going to come from the outsides in to start and engage the aperture corners. And we have a term, folks, as of this week. The sides of the mouth. Amazing. What a random concept. I need a name for it. Well, it's the sides of the mouth, isn't it, Greg? Yeah. All right. Let's call it the sides of the mouth. So from now on, my friends, cheeks, corners of the mouth, where the confusions come from, sides of the mouth, aperture corners, aperture. That might clear a few things up as we talk about milk spout. So I've said to this gentleman, we're about to start and engage. Horizontal movement inwards. Body resonance, no force, release, relax, no pinch. The minute that I said that, he laughed out loud, full well knowing that soon as the brain flips into we're creating an aperture, that means that we're about to play the trumpet, and that's where all the nonsense begins. And everything tightens up, bang, panic, bang, like a mousetrap, snap, off it goes. It's terrifying. It's amazing. It's powerful. The brain is an incredible thing. So he laughed and we laughed together because I knew before when I said it that it was going to trigger a response, and his response was laughter because he knew that it was going to create trigger a tremor. So when we talk about that and go, rightio, look, the face is not triggering now. No. We drop the mouth down, it's not triggering. No. So we've got to do it really, really slowly. And this is where the magnifying glass, we have to look so closely at our programming. We're looking at a script. We're looking at a neural program that's been written in a computer, right? Say. So where does any reaction start? I call it the dread. It's the shadow. There's a shadow of the boogeyman in the door. You can't see him, but you can see the shadow of it. The minute that I said we're going to draw the corners in, there's this fear. We're about to play. We're not going to play now. But we only come in a little bit. And showing him that the teeth, using 2 fingers, the teeth don't have to come up. I didn't get him to do that because bringing fingers up and arm movement also triggers fear responses, right? So I've got to be very, very careful. All these associated things that suggest playing will trigger a response. I've got to be really careful, but I'm demonstrating. Look at this. Ah, wah, 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 wah. The jaw doesn't come up and I'm moving inwards. Ah, ooh. So we start. And then he did it really fast and everything went and off it went. Absolute explosion of dystonia reactions. Does that have to happen? No. Why does that happen? Because that's the message being sent from the brain. So we need to change the programming. But when, long story short, you slow it down, eyes closed, and start and get that sense of the inward movement. And he started to find it. That was the end of session 1. I need to see you again tomorrow, right? I must see you again tomorrow. We've got to keep this going. Got to the next day, and he's, no reactions. Again, because it's so far removed from his regular playing that it's not triggering the response. He thought it would, but then when he started to feel it and go, well, it's not really, I'm not trying to play here. Let's just find the physiology of it. It didn't trigger anything. That's amazing, right? So then we're like, okay, start talking about aperture corners, the milk spout, the shape, the U. The sound is in the air. The lips play a role, but the sound is in the energy in the air. We started doing that. And he said, when I was learning off Claude, he always talked about the inward movement of the lips and getting it forward. And I've gone, excuse me. He spoke about it for ages. It's this forward movement. This is coming from someone who learned of him for years, and I've got all the assignments. He spoke about a forward movement and this sort of inward approach and getting it off the teeth, getting forward. But he shelved it because it was being misconstrued and misunderstood and it was too hard to explain. So he put all the focus on the tongue and said, forget about it. My other student who also learnt of him was about 10 years later, and he said, Claude just said, forget about the lips, just focus on the tongue. That's amazing because it is complex. But when you know that a teacher like that was like, I've got to teach this, it just, for me, was like, it was finding something, the Lord of the Rings, you know, you're finding something. Yeah, Paul.
I was going to ask you this question, actually, because in his book, The Daily Exercises, at the very beginning, where he does the slurs, the C, the G, the C, he actually has a circle with arrows going in.
I haven't even seen that. So, see, it's there. It's there. It exists. It's there somewhere. Like, surely there's no way. What's the part of the instrument that touches the mouth? I mean, how do we connect the instrument to the body? It's at the mouth. The lips must be doing something. They have to be. It's got to be important, right? The mere fact that this student's gone, he used to talk about the inward movement, was just like such a relief. I need to, have you got that book, Paul? Would you be able to scan it and show me? Oh, hang on, looks like Pat's got it. I love this, it's great. Hajo. You're on mute, champs.
Okay, now one remark from my side, what this issue means. I'm also teaching. I'm teaching young students, and I made the experience it is not good to give them all the information. My experience is when there is something wrong, then I can say, okay, do R-O-R-O. Or when there's something not working, then I can say, okay, try to move your lips. Otherwise, when I say to somebody where it worked, then it is confusing for him and he do too much.
Sure.
It is a little bit difficult to explain a student all the things.
Absolutely.
My experience is when he has something wrong, when something not work, then I give him this information. And for me personally, before I met you, I thought I was very convinced about the range change with my tongue position. And I thought, and I teach it like this: when the air comes from the lungs, and the tongue position is very high, I have a small, let me say, hole between the tongue and the mouth roof of the mouth.
Mm-hmm.
And that means the air after that hole is very fast, and that means fast air, high note, and the lips do that automatically. That was what I teach before I met you.
Yep.
Now I know. Okay, it is both. It is the tongue for the sound,
yep,
and a little bit to support the high notes, but it is more the AO. That
yep,
means the corners of the lip.
Yeah, it's all I'm trying to get across, and I'm using. Thanks, Haja. It's spot on. Now, Bill Adam, Professor William Adam, who taught Jerry Hay and all those cats, Indiana, I think. He never wrote a book because he goes, you can't write a book for every student, right? So that's why in WindWorks I just try and do all the fundamentals and then explain the possibilities. But he would totally teach based on the requirements of the individual student, which is what you're saying. And so the whole concept of the cycle of T's is it's different for everyone, because where someone needs to put a lot of RAM, a lot of focused energy, someone else won't need to. Not everyone goes and bounces their jaw when it should be an independent movement of the tongue, right? So this is the point that you're making, that ideally we only focus on the elements that the individual student requires. So you're dead right. Hey, Paul, can you please put that picture up again, my friend? Right. So what does it say? Could you kindly read out the sort of the passage before it and after it?
I can read it out. The heading for the section is the lips. And he says the only purpose of the lips is to vibrate. They may be compared to a double reed, possibly an oboe reed. Proper development to vibrate freely in all registers is necessary for power, endurance, tone flexibilities. As the lip tightens and relaxes, causing movement under the mouthpiece, this is absolutely necessary to moisten the lips. So there's no such thing.
Sorry, I want to flag just as the lips tighten. I just want to flag that for a tick. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, there is no such thing as no pressure, and it's beneficial to dismiss the subject from your mind and let proper development by routine practice take care of the amount of pressure.
Yep.
When ascending to the higher register, the lips should contract toward the mouthpiece. When descending to lower notes, the lips should relax.
So, right, they're vague terms, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It says, do not use smiling or stretching back movements of the lips. This causes weak endurance and a thinning out of tone. He goes on to say, there's always much discussion as to the placement of the mouthpiece on the lips, and different players have played successfully with different positions. However, for freer vibration and more endurance in all registers, and for power and control, the mouthpiece should be placed more on the upper lip. This gives the advantage of more lip in the mouthpiece and more vibrating surface. The lower mouthpiece is placed, the more it tends to shut off the vibration. And I've lowered mine recently, and it's helped. So that's
I generally, if anything, get people to lower it, and that's not a rule, but from what I see, people try and have too much in there, and to get that massive bulk vibrating, it's harder. So it's just, again, based on the feeling of freedom and the desired sound, we find the optimum thing. But the whole concept of the tissue and the release of energy, the release, not the blow. If we can get that going straight down the whole of the mouthpiece, that's going to be pretty successful, right? So thank you for that. So this is, again, for me, you guys get it. All of what I've done is just researched methods, and found the bits that seem to make sense, that work for me. Now, and thanks, Pat, for grabbing that. Isn't it amazing? I love it. So to hear it from a student that was there, and then he so ultimately must have found it, because it's in the books there. So he was obviously entertaining it for a while, but then went down the too hard basket. People are getting it confused. So I'm not going to talk about it at all, right? I promise I will never go down that path, because what part of the body touches the instrument is the lips. And as we know from the Bernoulli principle and all the stuff that we've spoken about, it is the tension of the lips that changes, right? Now, I saw a video the other day, and I've emailed them and haven't heard back. So I might have to put that on the support group and discuss it, because it's in the public domain from a big education website in New York. And the guy's on there saying, don't tighten your lips to play higher. All you got to do is arch your tongue and blow faster. And he demonstrates. And I'm literally sitting there having heart palpitations watching this video. This is not a competition. This is a sharing of useful advice to a community. And whilst this concept of engage the body and overcompress through an arched tongue persists, there are going to be confused, frustrated players on the planet. This ties in. Let me share you this. I'll be interested in your thoughts. I still haven't come up with a conclusion. The term mystery to mastery didn't happen by accident, right? And I've copped shit for calling it mystery to mastery. True, I say it blatantly. Do I think I'm a master? No, absolutely not. Do I aim towards getting better? Absolutely. Was brass playing a mystery to me? 1,000,000% confusion, thanks to all of the conflicting methods. Here's a prime example. Should I ask first or should I show first? I'll show first, but maybe I should ask first. But anyway, no, I'm going to ask first. I'll take 3 answers. People that would like to, preferably people that don't normally say much, if you're up for it. What is an embouchure? All right, who's gagging to get in? Go. Anyone?
I think an embouchure. I think an embouchure is the center of the mouth where you create the sound. I think that's the embouchure. So you have the outside of the lips, you have the lips, and you have the center point. And I think the milk spout with the openings in the middle, that's what creates the embouchure. That's what I think.
It's what creates the embouchure. Okay, good. Anyone else? George.
Yes, maybe in German you have a similar word. It's called Ansatz. It's like a mystery word. You know, it's a mixture. I think it's a position, it's a feeling, it's a way of putting the trumpet to your mouth. It's collecting all these different things together. And if a trumpeter has a good embouchure, is playing well, and if not, he has to improve. So
you're getting to the issue here. I have embouchure problems. I think that my embouchure's not right. Okay. This is the point. Okay. Thank you. Hajo. He's gone.
Yeah.
There you
I
go.
think the embouchure is like Raya explained, it's the middle of it's this hole in the middle of our lips, because I can change it as I learned from you. But I think also the embouchure is the whole muscle around our mouth and the lips and all these things which I need to form the embouchure. It depends a little bit how I use this word. It can be confusing, but I think for me, and to explain it for the students, the embouchure is the hole here in the middle of the lips.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you, Steve.
Okay. I think it's everything that supports what produces the vibration. So it's the entire facial apparatus that you manipulate to create the support to enable the vibration to take place in the center. So you're going to be using your orbicularis muscles, you're going to be using your corners, you're going to be using the sides of your lips, and you're going to be using your aperture corners. Everything that supports that is your embouchure, I believe that anyway.
Yeah. So there's been a bunch of really, thank you, Steve, it's great. There's a bunch of, we're all kind of saying the same thing, but it's open for discussion and there's possibly degrees of confusion. What's working, what's not working. So I thought, because a student with ADHD said I can't think about the word embouchure because it sets a psychology that is not useful for him. And he really appreciated the whole term, the sides of the mouth, right? The corners of the mouth, the sides of the mouth. Maybe I'll keep working on that because that's a bit funny. But aperture, corners, aperture. So I Googled it. Here we go. Now, I'm sure there's lots of different definitions, but have a look at this. Oh, crikey, here we are. The way. Instantly, that's a verb to me. The way in which a player applies their mouth to the mouthpiece, applies their mouth to the mouthpiece of a brass or wind instrument, especially as it affects the production of sound. So is an embouchure a verb, an action? Is it the lip tissue itself? Because in my mind, it's generally the idea. I would have said it was the muscles, right? That was if I hadn't have thought about this more, I would have gone, oh, it's the muscles of the mouth, right? The way in which a player applies their mouth, like you apply for a university degree, you apply to put the mouthpiece on your mouth, brass or wind instrument, especially as it affects the production of sound. Embouchure or lipping is the use. Now, this is, I like this bit. The use of the lips, facial muscles, tongue, teeth in playing a wind instrument. So I agree with that, absolutely. This is where I really liked it. This includes shaping. Yay, shaping. There's a word called shape. I'm sure you guys are all pretty confident with that one. This includes shaping the lips. So it includes the anatomy, the lips to the mouthpiece of a woodwind instrument, mouthpiece of a brass instrument. The word is French origin, which is related to the rude bouche, the mouth. So the mouth. I'm just curious about it. I'm not really saying anything dramatically important here, apart from the fact that we talk about embouchure the same way we kind of talk about using the diaphragm. It's just open for confusion. And when I saw it's the way, so the embouchure is an act, creating an embouchure. So if you create something, it's a shape in the mouth. Anyway, this might be a discussion that continues on, but basically I want to get rid of the concept of embouchure. Because what is embouchure is lip shape. Let's call it what it is without confusion. So that was a really long way about getting to the milk spout. Claude Gordon, I don't want to talk about it because it creates confusion. What am I doing when I talk about the milk spout? Now, a professor from the Royal College of London called it the milk spout. She contacted me and said, Greg, we're interested in your aperture corner concept and your body's concert hall concept. And I've gone, well, the aperture corners, put your finger between your teeth, draw your lips towards your finger without the teeth closing. Just get that bottom lip forward. That creates an opening, an aperture, part of the embouchure, but I want the U shape. Now, if I was to blow, there's no air coming out. So it's strong. And all of this, I'm repeating myself, but the lips are so strong, we can't blow them apart. So I believe that the process of learning a brass instrument is leveraging that strength, but learning the refined art of letting go, not the refined, not the brute or art of creating more strength, but the refined craft of letting go of what we don't need. Because again, there was a little bit escaped until I tightened it up, right? But then what are we doing when we create that shape? Bottom lip forward, the wet bit from the inside of the bottom lip. Now that's going to be low register. That's a low note. That's between low C and low F sharp, about, right? Then Claude said, when we tighten the lips, there's a problem. Don't forget, we've been taught to mouthpiece buzz and lip buzz for decades, centuries. No milk spout there. Versus, and the stamp method, I think, gets it the closest. He doesn't want tight lip buzzing. He wants, but it's still not explained the psychology of the fact that, I think Arbin says it, the lips make no sound in the mouthpiece, right? Bobby Shue, the lips are the biggest hindrance to the airflow. We've got to get them out of the way. But we've got to get them out of the way whilst keeping the sides of the mouth firm. This is the trick for everyone. So when we're tightening the lips, engaging the lips, we're engaging from the outside in. Because we've created, the second one, body's concert hall. I'll come back to it. I said to this professor, I said, I'll do this. Bend your finger around, take a breath. Close your eyes, do it slowly. Is that a familiar feeling or a foreign feeling? She goes, completely foreign. I said, I feel like that on every note, every part of my range, always, because it is so different to when I was playing in my younger years with my throat closed the whole time. You've all seen the videos. The minute she felt that, she started to play and played nonstop for about 3 minutes and finished by saying, I've never been able to play like that before. I could hear the difference. I heard that there was something grabbed in the sound before we did it. When she did it, you heard it open up, right? Then getting that, and you guys will know that, it's very easy to lose when we start to engage the mouth. Start to engage inwards, tongue changes position, abdominals start to really engage and activate, tighten up, choke off. So we're trying to just keep all of these things really independent here. So Mike put in, when I activate inwards the milk spout more, and sorry, this professor, when I said to her, she goes, oh, it's like a milk jug, a milk spout. And I said, I'm going to steal that from you because it's a great term. But it's the lip, the jug, the U shape. You got plenty of books that talk about the U shape, but it still confused me. Schlossberg, A, and I think there are pictures of the lips in there, but it still confused me. I think in my Schlossberg days, it was, tongue position changes pitch. So that sort of justifies the Claude Gordon thing. Okay, I'll go with that. And it was right until it was wrong in my head. So I hope there isn't the disquiet, the unease, the uncertainty about the milk spout as what Claude was discovering with the forward movement. When I'm doing Mau, I'm not playing like that all over the horn, but it's opening up the resonance in the body. It's getting the feeling of freedom into the horn, right? So then to tie that into my dystonia student the other day who was telling me how Claude used to talk about the inward movement, he managed because it still felt so strange, so different, so not threatening because it doesn't remind his brain of playing at all. He was doing that with his fingers. He didn't have a visualizer. So, and I demonstrate playing. Yeah, that's what I feel like here. I'll try and come up with something different. I always play the same thing. I've got to get this point across. Ho, 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 ho. Ho, ho, ho. Another video coming. Ho, 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 ho. No note, really low note. So this guy, his name's Ken. He won't mind me saying it. Ken. So I'm saying don't engage more than that. Don't blow. Just let the energy flow and work on those aperture corners and let the body relax. S-I-G-H dash psychology, right? Happened and he burst into tears. He's holding the trumpet. His lips responded. It's a low note. He's playing a low note. It's not in the trumpet range, but it's still a note. He burst into tears. It's full on, right? So it's different. And so we're seeing he can play like that. Everyone can play like that. It's just we've got to go from a low note to a higher note. In the process of going to a higher note, changing shape, right? And that's where the singing C comes into it. Let's not engage the body at all. Let's just, I can't do this next week. I've got a big week of RAM usage coming up. The following week, I'm going to do a singing C special. I'm going to go through the course and talk about it, each step in more detail. So not next week, but the week after, I'll do a singing C weekend. Hajo.
Yeah, Greg, you talk about low notes. I would like to add something which I experienced when I'm a favor of the pedal notes. That means the low C at the end. And I make the experience that when I use my corners as I use it in the high notes, then I can play the low C very, very nice with the trumpet. And then I can switch directly to the C, the low C. I'm not really sure what are the right words in English for this note. It is under our C.
So you mean the octave below, the pedal C? Do you mean an octave below?
Yes. Okay. Yes. The octave below. It's very hard to play on a trumpet. On the flugelhorn, it's not hard, but on the trumpet.
Yeah.
And I made the experience when you use your corners very fine, very exactly. You find the shape for this note.
Yeah.
And it works. And then you can change directly to the low C, to the C above, and then to the high C. Very easy.
Correct.
It is nearby. It is the same feeling for your corners.
Correct.
And that makes sense for me when somebody said, okay, you have to practice the low notes to go higher. Practice your pedals to go higher. That makes sense for me.
it makes sense with the right. Thank you so much for sharing, because you're dead right, but it makes sense with the correct psychology. Now, I said last week that I think that pedals have been methodologized or whatever the word would be. And you try and play a pedal C, you are going to manipulate your chops so badly that it will not relate to trumpet playing whatsoever. It's, in my opinion, a completely unimportant, if not damaging exercise. However, done correctly, as you say, there's a lot of flow. So what do we need for a lot of flow is firm corners and loose oscillator. Oh, ripper! Right, we're working on the fundamentals of what we want to feel like all over the horn, but not pinching down in the middle of the lip. And that's, you mentioned the pedal C. Don't try and play pedal C. They sacrifice the fundamental harmonic in the process of getting the harmonic series that the trumpet has. The pedal, the fundamental of the trumpet is about, hang on. Oh. The pedal C is like playing an E without valves. I'm not going to encourage people to try and do that. For advanced players, there might be some benefit in a way for a particular reason for people with particular issues. But I'm not going to be teaching people to do, those of you that have worked through M2, M2, I do some of those harmonic lip bends, but that's a discovery process. But never would I get people to, because the manipulation and pinching required is drastic, right? So that's where the whole concept of what I'm doing, the birth, I'm again, I keep saying this, but the list is building and building and building for a workbook that I'm putting together with these little short 2 or 3 minute videos that everyone's going to get, that has all of these new concepts in it. No notes, the birth of the pedal tone, right? No notes, live next to really low notes. If we get this going on, and then we put the mouthpiece on, let's play no notes perfectly. I know I've been raving on about this the last few weeks, so I'll move on. But then as soon as we've got, which happened with a 70-year-old student with dystonia, and he got that and went, I'm playing trumpet without dystonia. Wow, that's wild. Then we'll develop the range. That'll all come. We're looking after another serious issue. It'll come. Steve, have you got something to add there? I saw you quickly put your hand up, but then I might have covered it.
It was only very brief. The chap that's just been talking talked about the flugelhorn.
Yep.
When I'm going chromatically down to F sharp, what I tend to do at the end is I play the low F sharp, and then play the low F sharp written as a pedal tone. And I'll play I'll go up between pedal and F sharp, G and pedal G, just to loosen, just to relax the lips at the end as pitched notes. But that's all I use them for.
Yeah, absolutely.
It is a lot easier on a flugelhorn. It's very easy on a flugelhorn. It's a bit on a trumpet.
Well, let me tell you, my friend, this, and I only discovered this within the last 12 months, and I don't have another. I've got an old flugel sitting here with no mouthpiece and my other flugelhorns down in the car. But this, going to a pedal F on trumpet, no problem. Try that on a flugelhorn. Good luck. It's harder than playing a pedal C on trumpet, playing a pedal F on the flugel. It's all got to do with the diameter of the bell. That's what determines the harmonic structure of the pipe. And because of the flared bell, the fundamental harmonic of that pipe is the pedal C. But that's what I was saying, that I don't know this, I didn't invent it, I just read it in books, that they had to sacrifice the pedal C to get the smaller bell in order to get the harmonic structure for or maybe the sound. of the trumpet, because the harmonic structure's there on the flugelhorn, but you don't want that flare for a trumpet. So to get the sound, I'd have to read it again. This is years ago. But anyway, so try playing pedal F, pedal E, pedal E flat on a flugelhorn. Send me a video. Before some people might take off, I'm just going to go a little bit longer. I've got a new initiative called, no, in fact, let me share one. Where are we? Oh, no, that's not it. Share. Oh, crikey. Oh, no. Oh, God, this is all going badly. Sorry. I'm just trying to open another window here. Right. I've got a new initiative called WindWins. Wind wins. Wins. Good times. Sharing. Have a look at this. Where are we? There are a couple of them in here. Read the good days, bad days thing. I was actually wanting to talk about that a bit tonight, but of course I wander off. And where are we? It was by I read it before. Oh.
Greg, while you're looking, can I ask a small question?
Yes, please.
Do you still revisit the challenge videos? Because I sent in mine and I didn't have any reply yet.
I haven't done them yet. I've got a nice list that I will put together. It's in the list. I got excited when I set the WindWorks group up, and I'm like, right, let's get the challenge going on. As you guys all know, I've been pretty sort of busy and developing this over the last month or so, and I just have not had time to sit down and look through them and edit it because I don't want to rush it. I want to give good feedback. So I haven't put another one up yet. Ultimately, it's going to be a monthly thing once I get my flows into place. But so don't stress, my friend. It is there, and I will get to them. First, here we go. This is it. From Chris. Hello all. I had rehearsal tonight with a little community orchestra I play with. We had the summer off, which a lot of people did, and it was my first time playing music in a group since I've been doing WindWorks regularly. It was interesting. I actually remembered to take a good breath, didn't even have to think about it. It just happened. And was conscious of my embouchure. Oh, there you go. And the aperture. Less aware of the milk spout. Let me just say, I don't want people thinking about this stuff on a gig, ultimately, but these are observations of this is what I recognised when I was back after playing. I did remember to check in with my body's concert hall, and even the 1% rule. Am I holding tension anywhere? I noticed that I was able not to smash my lips with the mouthpiece, well, except for the very brief end when my chops were done. I felt tired where I wanted to in the cheeks. No one turned around and said I sounded like Ursith, but I felt pleased with how I felt and how it sounded. I play second and third parts, no high chops. So that was a great experience. I'll challenge myself to keep up the paying attention, relaxing and breathing. So that's great. That's what it's all about. We learn drills, we work on them, we come back and we discover differences that the brain, all of a sudden, I'm aware of this. We're creating awareness. How do we fix a problem? Critical awareness of a problem is half the solution. I noticed after doing the drills, and I don't even call them drills in the course, but I'm going to. This is a drill. This is a drill. My teeth don't have to move when I'm tonguing, right? These are all drills. They're just sensation development things that over time will, as we just discovered, creep into the playing. I recognized that I took a good breath. I did that on a live television show called The Logies. After 5 hours of sitting there playing awards tunes, we had a big band thing, and I recognized that I went and did a breath subconsciously after 6 months of doing breathing bag exercises. I literally dropped and opened up and didn't demand it consciously. It happened subconsciously after an awards series, awards episode where they don't give you the winner until about 10 seconds before, and you've got 6 different people that have been nominated, and you've got to sit there, and the winner is Home and Away. You know, pull out the Home and Away music and play it just before they announce it. We were tired. And so for the whole time playing that big band piece, all I was thinking about was, wow, I just took a proper breath and didn't even have to think about it. It got wired automatically. That's everything that we're doing here. The cycle of T's is wiring all of them. And when we take our conscious awareness away from one, then another, then another, then another, and we send our conscious attention over here at 9 o'clock, 1 o'clock tends to give up because we're not giving it any love. And then all of a sudden it falls apart. Got to go back around the cycle again, right? Go around the cycle. And we keep going back. And there's so much in Largo. You've got to keep going back. So much information, so much to learn, so much awareness. The big thing that I'm trying to, and from having the opportunity to speak to you guys and learn from you more and more and more and more and more, trumpet playing's easier than what we make it, than what we think it is. It's just easier. We think and we're told, well, hold your stomach like you're about to be punched and pinch your chops and do this, do that. No, you can do it, but you don't have to, right? So that's all I'm trying to do is, 1% rule, let go of stuff we don't need, change the psychology, and the body will follow in time. It's full on. I mean, the more I learn, the more awareness, the more frustrated I get, right? And just trying to clarify the messages and explain it clearly, So we're all on this journey together, but sharing wins and stuff like that, as I said at the start, is someone might be really down. And I got an email just before we started of someone who's really down, right? But then somebody else puts a message up going, oh, I've had that experience. I'm really up. Hang in there. Hang in there. Hang in there. You have to. You're going to have tough times. You're going to have times where this guy, if I hear his name or see his face in the next month, I'm going to go bonkers. Great. Have a rest. Right? Because the brain still ticks away. It's still cementing. Walk around. Poo, lip, coo, KMT, and two. Do the alphabet. Eyes closed. A, B, B, C. Start and figure out what's happening where. C. How interesting. S. Tongue's arched. Then when I drop it down, the voice kicks in. C. And then my jaw goes down. C. And the tongue drops. C. Start and learn the sounds that happen with inside the mouth and how they respond outside the bell. Pretty important stuff. It's really valuable if you've got the RAM to be able to sit there. As I said, I think a couple of weeks ago, by the time you get to W, you'll have a granagasm. Can I say that? It's just, there is a party of sound going on, right? It's amazing stuff. And when we recognize that we're just adding a bit of damn plumbing to a body, train the body what to do, thanks to the right understanding, add horn, it's not as hard as we think. I'll stop preaching. Any final thoughts for the day? Thank you for all joining us again. Thank you for being part of WindWorks. The WindWorks Trumpet Academy was born today. I'm not doing books anymore. The books are part of it. They're important. They're part of history. They're part of the development. But this is a learning process over time with support, direction. So please share it around. Invite your friends across. Rayu, you were going to say something.
One final question, Craig. Can you get in touch with me for a lesson, please? When
Certainly.
you have time?
Absolutely.
All right.
And Pat.
Thanks.
And
haven't we booked one, Phil? Have you
Not
been?
yet, no.
All right.
No, not yet.
Okay, great. Let's. And I was about to say, Pat, this week's crazy. There's some serious things going on, but then things clear up the following week, and we will definitely do it. Thank you, guys. For any of you that have got, because don't forget, with the latest Ultimate, you get a half an hour session. Come and make sure you use it. And for the annual, everyone that's doing the annual are getting their 2 sessions. But please reach out. And Pat, we will do our live lesson week after next. This week. So next week sometime I'll be in touch about that. So thank you all. Awesome. Have a great week. Please come and join tomorrow. Who knows what's going to happen? And tomorrow being Monday here, Sunday sessions for the US. So, but I would understand. I wouldn't be coming either to put up with this. Thank you. See you later.
Cheers, Greg.